Welcome, comrades, to episode 140 of the Postmodern Polymath Podcast. I'm your long-suffering host, Chris. This week, I don't have a beard. It got stolen. Actually, I was put under. Somebody fucking knocked me out. Next time I woke up, I didn't have a beard. I don't know what happened. So, no, seriously, I don't know. I was bored last night and decided to shave it. Trust me, that shit ain't happening again because it's an abomination that should not be repeated. In fact, after this, I probably should erase all traces of it, to be honest with you, but I figured I'd leave it up, pictures and such up, just to remind myself that I shouldn't do it. Anyway, Zach is down with muscle spasms after getting the microchip. Apparently, it's defective. We're going to have to get Bill Gates to help him out with that, I think. So, this week we have, after a couple of false starts, a friend Nico, he contacted me. He is cool with Tony from God Chat, with Tony and God and Tony. He's a cool dude. Of course, anybody who contacts me has automatically got to be cool. So, we're going to talk about J-dubs, which is one of my favorite subjects, I'm sure. All right, and if you join me in welcoming Nico. How's it going?
What's up? Thanks for the round of applause, everyone. Loving it. Appreciate it. Feel welcomed.
It's there. It's there.
If I had to describe myself in a few words, I'd say I'm sensitive, yet obnoxious, intelligent, yet probably lacking some common sense. But yeah.
I think that's my thing.
Yeah, I read that right from your Facebook bio.
That's been there for a long time, and it still holds true. So, Nico, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Hanging in there, living life, enjoying a short vacation with Thanksgiving happening. I got 5 days off work, so.
You live in the grand state of Hawaii. If I'm not mistaken. Yeah. How's that?
That is accurate. It's good. It's eternal summer. I don't have to deal with the cold winter. Let's see, it's November, so you'll be getting snow soon, right? Or do you get snow in Tennessee?
Yeah, in February usually.
February.
Yeah, so fuck you.
Time and place.
Y'all get hurricanes? I don't know what the weather's like down there.
Yeah, usually like in July to August. This year though, we didn't have any, which was nice. We've had one basically every year since I moved here, but last year was none at all. So nice considering the pandemic year and all that. It's nice that we didn't add a hurricane to it.
It's an interesting. Hawaii is just an interesting thing anyway, because it's like seems like it is like literally in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's like, what's the closest thing to Hawaii? I don't even know.
Like other than other islands,
yeah, like
California,
the continent. I don't know how far. I don't have a frame of reference. Sorry, I don't really recall off the top of my head.
Actually, I think Japan is actually a little closer than California. I think I'll have to Google that. I don't really know.
Okay, so it's South Pacific, I guess, sort of.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, kind of that general vicinity. Of course, you can't tell Americans; they wouldn't know. Fuck you. You might as well say $10 too. They know the fuck you're talking about anyway.
Well, most of my family on the East Coast, they're like, "Yo, how's it not being in the United States?" I'm like, "I am still in the United States."
Yeah, people. I mean, you can say the contiguous 48, I guess, if you want to be technical about,
Yeah,
the mainland.
that's true.
That's not Alaska and Hawaii That's usually if you call it the contiguous 48. Again, a word that not many people probably even know the meaning of. But we'll stop dunking on low information people, and we'll get right on to the topic at hand. First of all, before any of that, why don't you just kind of give us a little background, I guess, into how you got to where you were to be with the J-dubs to begin with, JWs, the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah, I was basically almost born in. So my mom and dad have never been together ever since they conceived me. And around 7, I got to go see my dad again, and he was already a JW at the time. Not baptized yet, but his wife was baptized, and he was baptized shortly after. Um, so basically, like when I would go visit him on vacation, he would teach me all about the JW stuff. We had this book called My Book of Bible Stories. Any witness will be familiar with it. It's like a orangish color, bright red letters, and I would read that all the time. I would take that back to my mom's house, which is where I was most of the year, and just kind of show her what I was learning. She was raised like Catholic. My great grandmother, who lived with us for a while until she passed away, was very Catholic, and so she was not very happy that my dad was teaching me, JDub stuff. Um, that basically changed when I was about 12 or 13. She and her then husband bought a house, and we hired a guy to remove some trees in the backyard, and it just so happened that he was a Jehovah's Witness, an elder in the local congregation, and he started preaching to her and basically told her everything that I told her, but because it was coming from another adult, she took it a little more seriously and started doing a Bible study with this guy's wife. And so that's kind of how I got in. I had it from both sides eventually.
Bible study with the wife. That's what they're calling it now.
Yes,
Get it?
yeah, wink.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wink, wink. Nudge, not something to more. Say nothing more. So then, yeah, it sounds like you were getting kind of at the end of the both sides kind of thing. Um, so where'd it go from there? Kind of what was the steps? How deep did you get into it?
So at first, I really did not take it seriously at all. Like I was just going through the motions to get my parents off my back. Um, like when you're younger and you're in the church, I'm just gonna say church because everybody knows what that is. That's not what witnesses call it, but it's just a common term that'll be a
Fellowship
lot
or some
easier.
shit? What do they call
They
it?
call it a kingdom hall. That's what they,
Oh, the
what
Kingdom Hall. Yeah, okay.
yeah. So when you'd go there as a young person, they really encourage you to get on what's called the Theocratic Ministry School, which is basically where you can go up to the platform and give a small part on the meeting. Usually when you just start out, it's going to start off with like Bible readings. They'll give you 20 verses and you go up there and read it the best way you can, and they'll critique you along the way. So my mom was trying to get me into that. I had no interest in it at all. I was just going through motions. I did my Bible studies with the tree guy's son, who was doing Bible studies with me and my brothers, and then eventually him and his wife would do Bible studies with my mom and stepdad. Um, when I was 16, like I don't know what it was. I don't really remember what it was, but something just clicked in my head, and I was like, "This is it. This is the thing." And rather than go through like that awkward thing of telling all my friends from school, like, "Hey, we can't be friends anymore because I'm a Jehovah's Witness and we can't have worldly friends," I decided I was just going to move in with my pops because he lived 2.5 hours away, and I could just kind of start fresh and tell everybody right from the jump, so I wouldn't have to cut ties. And so that's what I did. And that's kind of when I started taking it seriously, and I started studying and like actually studying, not just going through motions. Was baptized shortly after that when I was 17. Coincidentally on my dad and stepmother's wedding anniversary, which was cool at the time. And that was kind of the start of it. From there I became a pioneer, which is I'm sure you've seen witnesses going door to door like, "Hello, have you heard about the good news?" I used to do that for 70 hours a month. Wasted years. That's why I'm laughing. Yeah, and I was given parts. I was talking from the podium more and more. I started when you join the Theocratic Ministry School. There's a number 1 part, a number 2 part, a number 3 part, and the Bible reading. So, like I said earlier, when you just start out, you're only doing Bible readings. But as you grow in your ability to speak publicly, they let you do more and more. The only departure from that is the number 2, which is usually done by 2 people. Usually it's women, and it's just like you do like a door knocking demonstration is the best way I could put it. 2 people go up there. One will pretend to be a homeowner, and the other one's going to be your basic Jehovah's Witness, and they'll have a certain theme, a certain question they have to ask, a certain publication they have to use, and they'll do their thing. When I was 19, we switched congregations to a congregation that had like 0 young people. It was mostly people over 40. And there they just put me to work. During the meeting, there's question and answer parts, and you have to have people running out microphones to people so they can answer the questions that the guy from the stage will give. And so I got to do that. I started doing territory making, which is just you kind of take Google Maps and you divide it into small sections so you can hand out to people so they can go preaching in those areas. I started doing that. And I started managing the literature counter, which is, when people go out in service and they want to deposit this stuff, you have to, organize it and give them their crap, I got to stop saying, So I was friends with a guy named Peyton. I won't give his last name, obviously, for privacy reasons, but his uncle lived here in Hawaii and offered me a job. And I had just gotten kicked out of my dad's house, so it worked out perfectly. I went to another congregation here in Hawaii in Kohala that also had no young people. There was maybe 3 of us that were under 25 at the time. And same thing. They put me to work almost immediately. I'm doing microphones, making territories for people. I'm going door to door. I'm doing parts on meetings, giving 10, 15-minute parts up on the stage. And that's about as deep as I went. I was trying to become a ministerial servant, which is just a title you can get that tells everybody else that you're more spiritual than them. It's really all it is. And I never got it, though.
I don't really. Do you know any of the kind of the background of the Jehovah's Witnesses, kind of how they came into being? Or
Yeah,
anything of that nature.
I know a little bit. When I left, I didn't look a ton into their history. I looked more into the claims that they were making, so I'm not as knowledgeable there. But basically, they stemmed from the Millerites. And then when their predictions didn't come true, they broke off. And the founder of the Witnesses, which wasn't the Witnesses back then, they were called Bible students, was very close with the person who founded the Seventh-day Adventists. And yeah, basically they split off from that, became their own thing. And then when that founder, his name was Charles Taze Russell, when he died, a guy named Joseph Rutherford took over and then changed it to Jehovah's Witnesses. The name, I mean.
I guess I should have researched this a little more, but I do know Millerites. I'm pretty sure those are the ones that predicted the end of the world, like at the end of the 19th century, I want to say. I don't remember exactly. And when it didn't happen, all the people just kind of, I guess, I don't know exactly how it happened. I don't remember exactly, but it's kind of the early 20th century is when all these religious shits that we see now kind of started spreading out, I think, a little bit more.
Yeah.
So coming from that, I mean, and of course we see these kind of things. I mean, this isn't unique. Jehovah's Witnesses. Of course, we have all kinds of sects and cults, frankly, that have come out of Christianity. But what are some of the things about the Jehovah's Witnesses that kind of set them apart from other, sects, I guess? I mean, you could say cults, but I'll be kind and say sects, I guess.
Well, for one, I guess this doesn't really set them apart because every sect of Christianity kind of thinks this, but they think they're the only ones that are right.
Oh, well, yeah.
They don't think everyone goes to heaven, which is a little bit different. They only believe that 144,000 will go to heaven, and they get to, be kings and rule over the earth with Jesus, while everybody else is on a paradise earth forever. You don't die. Yeah, it's weird.
Take the paradise. What the fuck do I want all that responsibility for? I don't understand that.
Right? Something else is no sex before marriage. You can't date as a Jehovah's Witness unless you are ready for marriage. I already mentioned it earlier, but you're not allowed to be friends. Well, maybe not allowed is a bit strong, but you're heavily discouraged from having friends outside of the religion. Like
That's
to the point where if you have privileges, which is getting up on stage and giving parts or being a pioneer, anything like that, things that you're taught to value, they'll take it away if you don't disassociate yourself from worldly people. And that's what they call people who aren't witnesses, worldly. You depraved people.
worldly to me is a good thing, but whatever. Whatever gets get you through the day.
You got to make the us versus them, right?
Yeah, well, that's how you get it, man. So you kind of started out in this. It sounds like your dad was already a part of it. Is that right? Is that what you said? Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wasn't. I met him when I was 4, but I don't remember a ton from that. And then I met him again when I was 7, and that I remember a lot about. And he was already in by the time I met him the second time.
Well, how serious was he in it when you first started?
He was just starting his Bible study. I mean, his wife was already in it and baptized for years. But I mean, he was pretty serious because shortly after that, I think I was 7 when I met him again, and I want to say by the time I was 8, he was baptized. So he was pretty in there.
Okay. But you say at first you were just kind of like whatever.
I mean, yeah, I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to keep my parents as far away from me as I could, and so I just did what they said.
Well, what was it that kind of you said? Did you say at 16 you started really taking it seriously?
Yeah. 16 is kind of when it clicked for me.
Was there anything specific, or was it just kind of an aha moment or something?
Yeah, it was more like an aha moment. I was learning. I'll be honest. It was mostly because I was scared, because I believed what they were saying was true, and I believed that someday God was going to send Jesus and his army down to fight Satan, and that when I got judged, I was going to be destroyed forever, and I wouldn't get to go to paradise earth unless I started taking it seriously and started working on my spirituality. And so it was mostly fear for that.
I mean, I can't imagine religion ever using fear as a motivator for anything. That's
Nah.
very rare thing. In fact, I'm shocked. Let me tell you. So fear. Okay, well that's a good motivator, obviously. So what are some of the things? Because I've heard, I knew somebody briefly who was in Jehovah's Witnesses. At the time, they weren't so much, but now they're more into it, I think. But they don't celebrate holidays, which I always thought was kind of weird.
No, they don't celebrate anything. No birthdays, Halloween, no Christmas, no. The only thing you can celebrate is the yearly anniversary of Jesus's death. I almost said resurrection, but that's Easter. We don't do Easter. We didn't do Easter. Jesus's death, which is 3 days before Easter, and your wedding anniversary. That's all you get. Nothing else. Not Mother's Day, not Father's Day, Valentine's Day, none of it.
Okay. Well, fuck that shit. Okay, so you get wedding anniversary and the death. That's just morbid to me. I mean,
yeah, it was a commemoration. They didn't call it a celebration, but okay, yeah.
Let's see. So that was one of the main. The other thing was Jesus was on a spike. It wasn't a cross. It was like, I don't remember. Not a spike. It was like a wooden. It was like a wooden straight.
Yeah, stake.
Stake. Yeah.
That's what they believe. Yeah, that Jesus wasn't crucified on a cross. He was crucified on a stake. Which is not true.
Well, the Easter Bunny was killed with a AK-47, not a machete. Oh wait, the Easter Bunny never fucking existed to begin with. Sorry, that was a bit of a on the nose, but so you believe this stuff, or did you? Is it just like kind of the background? You're like, okay, or did you actually like believe it? You know what I'm saying? Because I understand that in some instances, like you're going through stuff, you're doing the everyday stuff, and then of course you hear the stories, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's got to be metaphor or some shit. Or did you actually like believe that stuff?
So it kind of depends. Like looking back on it now as someone who's 3 years removed from it, I don't think I ever believed in God, but I definitely believed in the religion. And I believed all the stories from the Bible, the flood, parting of the Red Sea. I believed what they were teaching. But there was some disconnect and some doubt that I just never addressed because you're told not to, basically. Don't quite. So the leaders of the governing body, and there's 8 of them. It's 8 dudes who live in New York, and they produce all the materials that we
I like that.
researched, and they have the channel to God, and so yeah, like you're basically taught from the start of your Bible study to the till either when you die or when you leave. Um, that you take what they say as law, and if you have any doubts, you wait until God clears it up for you. You don't investigate it. God will take care of it. You leave it in Jehovah's hands is the saying that they'll use.
That's what
And so that's what I did. That's
See,
what I
this
did.
isn't any different than most other fucking denominations, really, of
Yep.
Christianity. I mean, you basically got the same kind of stuff. So I mean, not to, fuck you, Jehovah's Witnesses are all the same. But I do know
Oh, they are.
there are certain those two things I just mentioned. But I do know another specific thing I went at was disfellowshipping, I believe is called. When basically you're kicked the fuck out. Nobody can talk to your ass. Like
That's
anybody
what
can.
happened to me.
Oh, well, do speak
Yeah,
of this. Yes, go ahead.
I am disfellowshipped. Yeah, so there there's two major types of discipline. There's other minor disciplines too, like they'll take away your privileges and stuff for minor offenses. Like, if you tried a cigarette one time, they might say, all right, you can still go preaching, but you're not allowed to comment at meetings. It's something silly like that. But then the major repercussions of serious sin is either you'll get reproved, or you'll get disfellowshipped. I've been
What's
both.
what's reproved?
So there's public reproof, which means they'll make an announcement to the entire congregation saying so and so has been reproved. They won't say what for, but they will let the congregation know. That way, if they don't see you, commenting at meetings or having parts on the podium, they know what's up. There's also private reproof, which is basically if you committed a minor sin or what they view as a minor sin, they're still going to take your privileges away, your stuff. You can't comment and all that. But if no one else knows about it, then it'll be private. So they'll just tell you. I mean, you can tell the people if they ask, but they're not going to make an announcement from the stage. And then disfellowshipping is what you said. You get kicked out. Your friends and family can't talk to you. You can't talk to them. And you still have to go to meetings because that's the only way you'll get reinstated is if you go back to meetings and actually demonstrate that you're repentant for an extended amount of time. We're talking like 6 months to a year generally of
So,
being completely shunned.
so after you've been shunned, you have to be shunned for 6 months, or you're saying you have to go back, keep going, and then hope they let you back in after you've
You
been
have to.
disfellowshipped.
They'll let you into the meeting, into the church,
Oh, okay.
but no one can talk to you, and you can't talk to anybody. So when I first got disfellowshipped, what they told me was show up to the meeting like a minute or two before it starts, and then sit all the way in the back row, and then as soon as the closing prayer is over, you leave, and that's it. And you have to do that twice a week for 6 months to a year. A year is more common. 6 months is kind of rare. Until you're back in their good graces, and they'll announce from the stage so and so's been reinstated as a Jehovah's Witness, and then everyone can talk to you again. Which is yeah.
Did you do that, or you just say "fuck you"? I'm done.
I did it for a little bit. So I got disfellowship because I did stuff with a girl that wasn't allowed because I wasn't married.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, after the fact, I found out that they shouldn't have disfellowshipped me according to their own rules because I got a copy of the elders' instruction manual and I read it, and they kicked me out because they were upset, not because of
Yeah.
rules,
You,
which
you're
is
not allowed to do
hilarious.
that.
um, I did it for about 3 months. I went to every meeting a minute or two before it started, and I left as soon as that closing prayer was over for about 3 months. In that 3 months, I started thinking more about the doubts I had as a kid. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to prove this shit to myself by reading the entire Bible
Well,
from start to finish.
That's where you fucked up.
Yeah, exactly. And the first time I read it, I there was a lot of stuff I didn't like. The second time I read it, I was like, okay, I don't like anything in here. And just started researching everything, all the claims that were made in there. I started with the easy stuff, you know. I was like, all right, if 1,000,000 Egyptians actually died in the Red Sea, there'd be evidence down there. Couldn't find it. So I looked into the flood. I watched the debate between Bill Nye and Ken Ham on the flood. And that was kind of the start of it. You know, I just kept knocking stuff down and trying to figure out like what in that book was actually legit. And you know, when you're raised that this book came from God and you start to learn that things in there aren't true, like I basically just defaulted to non-belief. Like once I started seeing the stories weren't true, I didn't even bother trying to disprove God. I was just like, all right, if this is bullshit, then, you know,
So
clearly.
it seems like you already had before any of this even happened, you already had a predisposition to be skeptical, I guess.
Yeah.
In general, it sounds like.
Yep.
So, like, this is probably going to happen because, I mean, of course, there's people who are thoroughly brainwashed. Like,
No, I wouldn't say I was. I was definitely brainwashed, but it was moderate.
yeah, you sound like you're, I want to say better, you know, a little, you're a little you're really mildly brainwashed as opposed to completely brainwashed. Because I'm sure, I don't know if you talk to other ex-religion, I mean, not just Jehovah's Witnesses, but any ex-Christians, especially those that are in extremist, what I consider extremist cults or sects, are often like that. They're completely like, they come out in the world, man, and they don't even know what to do themselves. They're just, they're reborn, literally. Like, it's just.
Well, when sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go
when
ahead.
when I first got kicked out of the religion and I was doing all this research and coming to the conclusion, because I was living in Hawaii, a very common thing here is you'll have a house and then you'll have like a detached apartment called an ohana. Like, it's super, super common here. And so I was living in this detached apartment. And my landlord lived literally steps away from me in the main house. And she was trying to get me to come out and do stuff and, you know, hang out with her and her friends and her boyfriend. And because I still had that programming of, you know, you can't be friends with people who aren't witnesses, like, I was working on knocking those things out of my life. And it took a long time. I was basically a fucking loser for a few months. I didn't have any friends here that weren't witnesses. And so when I got disfellowship, I lost all those. I moved to Hawaii by myself, so I had no family here. Yeah, it was very weird. It was a very weird time in my life. I mean, it was good because I taught myself how to play guitar since I had nothing better to do with my life because, you know, again, no friends. But eventually, like, I just kind of worked up the courage to be like, you know what, fuck it. Yeah, let's go hang out. Let's go do something. But I mentioned it to you in the email. Like, that was kind of me starting to figure out life and learn about things kind of from scratch, like a baby, you know, because I had everything spoon-fed my entire life as far as what I was supposed to think, feel, believe, do, act, all that. So that was interesting.
Do you talk to your parents now?
So my mom also left. She's no longer a Jehovah's Witness. I talked to her. My stepfather, my stepmom, and my biological father are all still witnesses, and they refuse to talk to me. And they also will not. My dad has two children besides me that are younger than me, and he won't let them talk to me either. So that's fun.
No, that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not you know, destructive at all. You know.
No.
Don't worry about it. It's fine. They'll recover with therapy. Yeah.
The funny thing about, well, it's not funny, but the funny thing about shunning is witnesses love to use the scripture where Paul is saying, or no, it's not Paul, excuse me. Jesus is saying that because they're like, oh, why are you hanging out with prostitutes and tax collectors? And Jesus is like, look, sick, healthy people don't need doctors, sick people do. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because when you're disfellowship, they tell you that you're basically spiritually sick, but they don't help you. They just fucking kick you out, which is so antithetical to what they're believing, That's, that's hilarious.
Well, that's we could study that particular phenomenon with any religion, or really
Yeah.
any sect or cult or anything. Doesn't have to be Christian. That's always the in group and the out group kind of shit.
Yep.
That's makes you feel special, like you're in on something cool. Kind of. It's not any. Actually, it's the same kind of shit. The QAnon people.
Yep.
Trumpsters. You think you're in on something magical, something like revolutionary, and
Privileged information.
Yeah, like you think JFK is going to be reincarnated and show up in Times Square, wherever the fuck it was. That shit's crazy. I mean, until you realize that it's like not crazy because it happens all the time, and religion is one of them, not the only one, but
Yep.
so you understand that it's just human nature sometimes for people to do that. But anyway, so at this point, you're like 25 or something?
Yep,
Is that what you said?
25.
Yeah, that's just ridiculous. I'm old enough to be your father. Anyway, so yeah, you just recently got out of this, right?
Yeah, 22 is when I left.
How you feeling? Are you okay, or you have?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, there's still hurt there, obviously. I mean, my dad and I never had a good relationship anyway, so that part doesn't bother me as much. But not being able to talk to my siblings is probably the only source of pain from that whole thing that I have left. Everything else I've sort of worked through with good old therapy and lots and lots of drugs and alcohol. Just kidding.
No, that's me. You've misunderstood, and that's totally healthy. Totally healthy. Ignoring the problem.
Totally.
And,
Stuffing it down like a...
I know what the problem is. I just fucking don't care, and I just keep drinking anyway. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not. Or am I? Anyway, so you're still young, 25.
Yep.
Are you you say you're by yourself as far as family? You're like the only person there of your family. Is that right?
Yeah, it's just me. I'm the only one who lives in Hawaii.
Does that? I mean, did that make things harder? That you didn't really have a support system? Or did you have a support system?
It actually made it easier because when I was deciding whether or not I wanted to go back to being a Jehovah's Witness, one thing that always popped up is, what is my family going to say? And my answer to that was, it doesn't fucking matter. They're 5,000 miles away. And so it helped me transition into this new part of my life where I was okay with making that decision to leave, because it doesn't matter what the fuck they say. They don't have an impact on my life currently because of the distance.
We have an actual fucking comment. This never happens. What's up,
What?
Chris? Your audio is louder than mine. I'm looking slim down and aerodynamic. I don't know what that means, but okay. The settings on StreamYard are weird. I still have to... Oops, shit. Sometimes the mic will auto-correct the volume, and I still haven't figured that out yet. When I do the podcast version, it levels out because I leveled out. But just turn up your fucking hearing aid, man. You'll be fine. Jesus fucking Christ! I gotta do everything around here. Well, I'm glad you're able to kind of get through that. But I did want to ask you a couple of I mentioned the things before about the holidays and the whatever the steak and all that shit. What are some other idiosyncratic things that the Jehovah's Witnesses do that you don't normally hear about, in I guess mainstream Christianity?
They don't do this as much anymore because of privacy laws have changed in some countries. But one thing that people don't know is everything you tell them, they're gonna write it down the second they get back to their car. How many dogs you have, what the dogs' names are, the kids, what your kids' names are, if you're married, what car you drive, what your yard looks like. And the reason why is because it's just part of the whole cult love bombing thing. They want to make you feel like they care about you, so that your guard goes down a little bit, and it makes it a little easier for them to get their seeds in there.
That would freak me the fuck out. What the fuck? Stalking me and shit.
Yeah, it's definitely creepy. It's definitely creepy, for sure.
I mean, and of course, the biggest thing is the door knocking, and you've seemed to have had some inside scoop on these things. So why don't you kind of describe how that process goes?
Yeah, so that's kind of the evolution of becoming a witness. First you start off as a Bible study, whether you're someone that they found at the door or you're a kid that was born in. The next step is to start preaching. And so the steps is unbaptized publisher, baptized publisher, auxiliary pioneer, regular pioneer, special pioneer. I'll explain all those. It's going to get really fucking boring. Sorry.
Go on.
You look excited. I suggest you change that. Unbaptized publisher is, you don't have to be baptized and you can go door knocking. You have to be approved for that. Like, you have to know what you're talking about. There's sort of a test. Not really. There's like questions you have to answer. And if you answer them right, then they'll make you an unbaptized publisher. The only difference between that and a baptized publisher is the actual baptism, which is a whole nother set. It's like an application, honestly. You have to meet with the elders. I'll explain the hierarchy of the congregation later, but you have to meet with the elders for 3 separate times and answer 3 sets of questions. And if you answer them all right and confidently, they'll allow you to get baptized, and then you're a baptized publisher. Auxiliary pioneer.
You said publisher.
Publisher,
right?
yeah. Yep.
Well, that's weird. What are you publishing? But okay, that makes no sense. Whatever. Go ahead.
Books, magazines, literature, the shit they give you at the door. Bibles.
Oh, but you're not actually doing the publishing. You're
No.
Anyway, okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's a weird name. After that is auxiliary pioneer, which is on special months it'll be 30 hours, but generally speaking it's going to be 50 hours. That's your requirement. You have to hit that to keep that title.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
Cats. Oh shit. Sorry.
Oh, kitty.
Okay.
Can I say the P word and make P word jokes?
Pussy jokes? Is that your
pussy jokes? Yeah.
Yeah, we're grown. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what the rating is for your show. I mean, I've listened to it before.
I was gonna say, how do you never fucking listen to the show?
No, I listened. So when the circuit overseer comes around, I'll explain what that is later. It's 30 hours. Every other month is 50. After that is a regular pioneer, which is exactly the same as an auxiliary pioneer, except you have to do 70 hours. Although that one is yearly rather than monthly. You have to commit to that for an entire year of 70 hours a month. You can do like 90 one month and then 90 the next month, and your last month will be a lot less if you want to, and some people do. But generally it's 70 hours a month. And then a special pioneer is you have to go to this special training school at their cult compound in Brooklyn. Well, not necessarily Brooklyn. But anyways, you go to school, you get certified, and then they'll send you to another country or location to do preaching. And that's 120 hours a month. But that is your full-time job. All your needs are paid for by the organization. Your basic needs are paid for by the organization.
Okay. Huh. Well, so these names are killing me. So you got published, unpublished. What did you say again? I'm sorry. Unpublished.
Unbaptized publisher.
Unbaptized publisher. Then baptized publisher.
Baptized. Yep.
And
then auxiliary pioneer.
The auxiliary pioneer. That's like the Boy Scouts and shit.
And then regular pioneer, and then special pioneer.
Special pioneer. Okay. So you in order to, so there's levels of the thing. So like,
Yeah.
let's say usually that y'all come in pairs that I've noticed.
Yep.
Okay.
Always. It's extremely rare it'll be one person.
Okay. So is there like a junior and a senior, or are they both like the same rank or whatever?
It depends. You could. The only thing you probably won't see on an average visit, especially where you live, is a special pioneer. Generally, special pioneers are sent to places like Africa where there's not a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses. So usually the highest rank you'll get is a regular pioneer. But as far as who those what rank those people hold, it could be any one of those. There's no like requirement, you know.
Is there a script?
Uh, kinda. So
Like
there's a
template of something like that.
template for sure. Yeah, template for sure. The parts on the meeting I was talking about earlier when you go up on the podium,
Yeah.
the number 2 talk, which is when 2 people go up and simulate a door knocking experience, that is the script generally that you'll see.
Okay.
Or the template, excuse me.
But I guess do you bring the Bible, or is it just that little
Mm-hmm.
book? What's it? I don't know. There's some other. It's not just the Bible. I know there's some sort of other.
Yeah, the Bible Teach Us book is what they usually have. But there's a whole range of things. There's tracts that they'll leave. There's magazines, books, the Bible. There's whatever. They usually have it all on them. And if you say, like, if they knock on the door and you're like, oh, I'm a Catholic, they'll have a specific response for that. If you say you're an atheist, they have a specific scripture and response for that. That's all like pre-prepared. If you speak another language, there's a book that they can scroll to your language and show you a template of something, you know. So, yeah.
Was there a quota? Like you were expected to get so many like converts or something?
For converts, no. But for hours, definitely.
Hours, I guess. Yeah.
Even if you weren't a pioneer, like when I was trying to become a servant, which is a title you can get that says you're more spiritual than everybody else, their quota is you have to at least match the congregation average for hours. And if you don't, then they're not going to promote you.
Oh, so that's a little competition going on here. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
So you got to outdo other people, so it's kind of like this competitive thing. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So does everybody do this, or is it just like, is
everybody's supposed to?
Well, I mean, I didn't know if there's like elders retire from it or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Or do you always?
You're not allowed to retire. You just have to change your method. So if you're too frail to go knocking on doors and walking house to house, then they'll expect you to go on white pages, look for people's phone numbers and call them up and preach that way. They'll encourage you to write letters to addresses. Yeah. There is no not preaching unless there's medical reasons, but even then, like, you're encouraged to try and find a way to preach.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
And this isn't unique because I was nominally raised Church of Christ, not deeply or anything, but they're that same shit. It's just Christians in general. It seems like evangelicals feel like it's like they have to proselytize. They can't shut the fuck up about it, right? They can't just let it be, right?
Nope.
They have to fucking it's like in their thing. And I guess the Bible, you're supposed to, go out and preach and all that shit. Of course, we've taken into account what year it is. Okay, we're in the 21st fucking century, and I think we got that well covered. I think everybody knows about Jesus now. I think we're good.
White Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, well, yeah. But I mean, the whole idea that they somehow have to fucking, spread the word of Jesus like it's not all over the goddamn planet already. I mean,
well, they do that because they think they're fulfilling prophecy. I don't remember the exact scripture, but it's in Matthew where where Jesus tells his followers that the good news will be preached to all lands, and then the end will come. You know, like that's a sign of the end. And so the reason why they do that is because they're trying to fulfill that, which is why they're branching out into all these other countries and finding poorer places that don't have technology so that they can get them the good news. And yeah,
Well,
it's all a part of, thank you.
they all
It's
think
all a
that,
part
I
of
think.
fulfilling prophecy.
I think they all think that, don't they? And then it seems to me like the whole thing. But that's what I'm saying. You won that part. You won. Like, hey, I think we got that part down.
Yeah.
If you haven't preached it or shoved Bibles in people's faces, then you've gone over with your missiles and your goddamn troops and made sure they knew about Jesus at the the end of a gun. So I think we're good. I think we're good.
Well, according to witnesses, those don't count because that's false religion, so that doesn't count. The violence and the way Christianity was forced down people throughout history does not count. It only counts if Jehovah's Witnesses do it.
Oh, that's interesting. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
neat. I don't give a fuck either way, but that is interesting. I have to. So basically, that is very egotistic. That's like very, very centered towards your particular. So you're telling me that regardless of who it is, unless they were specifically a Jehovah's Witness, it doesn't count. Is what you're telling me.
Correct. Which is why they're so big. They're so big on their publishing numbers because they're hinging their beliefs in part on this thing. So yeah, if their whole goal is to make sure that everyone on the planet knows about Jehovah's Witnesses, and when that day happens, Armageddon is sure to come after it.
Is this big money? So in some
fuck yeah.
I don't. I'm sure there is, but I know Scientology and Mormonism are fucking just ridiculous. But I don't know so much about Jehovah's Witnesses, and as far as
yeah, so you're not required, quote unquote, to donate any specific amount of money. However, just like the whole you're not technically not allowed to have worldly friends, it is very heavily encouraged to the point where, again, you will not be able to advance your rank unless you are donating. So basically every congregation around the planet is encouraged to donate to the organization, and so they have a shit ton of money from donations, and obviously they're tax free, so yeah.
well, did you feel that pressure?
Oh yeah, I was told. So when I was growing up, there was not as much of an emphasis on donating as there was as I became an adult. When I moved to Hawaii, they started encouraging, like heavily, that you make a monthly donation and that you tell the brothers about your monthly donation. They even passed out papers so you could discreetly write how much you could reasonably afford to give monthly to the congregation. So there's 3 different donation platforms you can make. There's one for local congregation expenses, electricity, water bill, all that shit. Then there's one specifically for the preaching work worldwide, and then there's donations that go directly to the branch. The branch is what they call their headquarters in New York. And so, yeah, you were required in my later years as a witness to write down how much you could reasonably afford to donate every month. And if you didn't, they were going to come find you and ask what's going on. And that was one of the reasons why I never got to be a ministerial servant, is because I wasn't regular with my donations. But to be fair, I had just moved to Hawaii and I had no experience living on my own. I had no car. I took the bus everywhere. I walked everywhere. So I didn't really have money to give them. I was trying to set my life up,
Did you tell them that? Or were they at all sympathetic?
No, they don't give a shit.
I didn't. Okay. Silly me. Okay.
If you're gonna make excuses, you're not spiritual. That's basically the whole shtick there.
Yeah, okay. That's capitalism.
You like my beer?
That's not beer. That's water. Sorry. And the fact that you came on this show without a beer is a little insulting, to be honest with you.
I do not drink anymore. Well, my loss, I know.
No, it's not really, actually. Alcohol has done some bad things to me, but that's for another show.
The reason why I don't drink is because of South Park. It really convinced me. when Mr. Mackey was like, drugs and alcohol are bad. Okay.
That's very good. Actually, that's very good imitation. Actually, very good. Maybe you could do
Thank you.
I don't know, do some kind of thing. Man, get Tony's the king of skits. He needs to start doing skits. I'm telling you. He needs to get people doing skits. You get God and you get other famous people, and maybe they can do some skits. Because, sometimes him and... Maybe I'll tell him this myself, but I'm saying get God, Tony, but then get other people in there to have some skits. You know what I'm saying?
God and Mr. Mackey would be hilarious.
Yeah, or you pick whoever, I'm because I have an inside track on God. So...
I always thought it'd be cool if he could find a way to get Satan on his show and have him and, because in the old show, God would blame Satan a lot for shit when people would write into questions. So I think it'd be funny if he had Satan come on and be super emotional, like God just always shitting on me.
Well, we're gonna have a talk about that.
Yeah, you tell him. Yeah, send him this clip. Tell him he's got to get on it.
He's done fine without me so far. He's got fucking merchandise now. Shit, sells more than I do.
No, it's landfill. It's not merchandise.
Well, whatever it is. What landfill is that you said?
That's what he calls it. That's not what I said.
He is too much with the fucking self-effacement, man. That's my gig. That's my shtick.
I love it. That's why I like his show, and I stuck with it because I love the self-defacement stuff.
I'm like, dude, you're trust me when I tell you this. The effort he puts into that show is, to me, is like, of course, I don't listen as many as I used to, but when I used to listen to like atheist podcasts all the time, it's like miles, like I don't put any effort into this, right? And then nobody listens to it anyway, but there are people who have bad production and somehow get a lot of listeners, and I have never understood that. He actually has decent production, has a decent script.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's already, ahead of the game. But we're not going to sit here and suck his dick all day. It's my show, goddamn.
Oh.
It's my show, goddamn it. Do it on his show. And my show, we're going to kiss my ass. Anyway.
I was supposed to take that show over.
You were the one that... Okay. See,
yeah.
I remember when that happened, and then I said something, and then was it you? Maybe it was you that fucking... Because I had said something on his page about what the fuck happened to Tony. And then somebody...
Yeah, and I commented back to you. And I was like, pray for his return.
Yeah,
and at first,
okay.
He asked me if I wanted to take over. And at first I was like, nah, dude, like, you already ended it with you dying. Like, that's a great way to end it. But then, like, I just started thinking of all these ideas. And I was like, I bet I could do it.
So good, too. Because I literally did think this motherfucker had... either died or was in prison or something. Because he just completely disappeared.
Yeah.
But then
gone.
Again,
he deleted his Facebook and everything. He was committed, man.
He never was on social media that much anyway, I guess.
I recorded 4 episodes as the new show host. And when I say they were shit, I am being extremely generous. Yeah. And I was like, you know what? I'll just let it die. I can't. I'm not Tony.
I think patrons should decide that, really. I think that should be Patreon extra shit. If you still have them. I would, yeah.
They're probably still on my hard drive. I could probably dig them up.
I'm just saying, man. Maybe you could say, hey, man, this is some patron shit. That's some high-level patron. This is like fucking...
Tier 3.
Well, or fucking Scientology. What is it? OA... What is it?
OTS 9?
OT.
Or OT, that's what it is. OTS is the fucking gun from Call of Duty.
There's so much. This is all bullshit, man. It's hard to distinguish all the bullshit. But anyway, so you got through it fine, mostly. You got to preach. Is there a good... Do you have like a good anecdotal story that you did one of these preacher things and like it went like sideways as a motherfucker? You know what I'm saying?
Well, I can go 2 routes with this. I can either go the naked person answering the door, or I can go the shotgun being pulled on me route. Which would you prefer?
You know what? Dealer's choice.
Dealer's choice, okay. I was doing a special preaching tour, I'm gonna get this confused because I went on multiple. I want to say this one was from Alabama. I went on the special. I actually really liked Alabama. Everybody was so nice. The food was shit though. I don't like that sweet tea thing that people in the South drink. That shit's disgusting. I'm not a fan. But anyway, yeah, we were doing this preaching tour and we were just going to places that weren't easily accessible by the local congregation, and so we rented, Jeeps and stuff, and we were out there. Anyway, this guy was not happy to see us, and he heard us. He obviously heard us pull in. He watched us walk up to his door. We didn't see any no trespassing signs because that was the whole rule when we coordinated our preaching trip with the branch, because that's what you have to do. You have to talk to the headquarters and make sure everything's on the up and up. And that they communicated to us that, if there's no trespassing signs, don't go. But we didn't see any. So we go up to the door, and this guy answers the door. I don't think it was loaded, but he had his shotgun in hand, wondering what the fuck we were doing there. And thankfully, nobody got shot. But, yeah, that was terrifying for a 19-year-old.
Fucking redneck performative bullshit's all it is. He wanted to try and make his ass look good. Motherfucker,
Yeah.
you knew you weren't gonna. If it was actually somebody from the government or something, they'd have blown your ass up. Shut the fuck up,
Yeah.
redneck. Trust me. You ain't fucking
Right.
Ruby Ridge. Calm the fuck down, I mean, I could totally see that though.
And then the other one is just we went to this door. It wasn't anywhere special. It was a local thing to my congregation, and we knocked on the door, and the guy's like, "Oh, come on in." So we walked right in. It was very strange because most people aren't like that. So obviously he thought we were somebody else, and he was in his kitchen cooking with nothing but a robe on, and it wasn't a very long robe. And even after we got in, like, you could tell he had no clue who we were, but he did not give a shit that he was naked. He just kept on going with what he was doing, listened to us talk, and it was just strange. It was very weird.
Some people are just like that. I don't get, some people are just really open.
Yeah. Couldn't
Unless
be
he
me.
was just
Not with strangers.
playing it off really well, which
Could have been that.
I could see that too, actually. So do you ever feel like you got one? You know what I'm saying? You got one. Like you went in there, you fucking nailed it, and like no, ever.
I had a few Bible studies, but they never went anywhere. And I always had to turn them over to people who were more spiritually advanced than me, so I never got to see the results of, like, if they got baptized or not. But I had a few Bible studies, but that's about it. Honestly, the success rate is not as good as their website will make it seem. Like, in my entire congregation, there was maybe 3 people with Bible studies, and they weren't even good Bible studies. It was super rare to have somebody become a witness from the door-to-door experience.
You're telling me it's all mostly a scam? Is that what you're telling me?
No, it's mostly family members. It's mostly kids that are born in that become adults. Like, their growth numbers are not generally, at least in the United States, are not generally from door to door.
Well, that's where they don't get any of this shit now anyway, do they? I mean, because I know Scientologists send everybody to fucking, the Mormons send everybody to,
Mormons.
France and shit. I mean, because they're out of numbers in here because everybody knows they're bullshit by now,
Yep. Well, witnesses do that too. They'll send them anywhere but here to get preaching and get their numbers up. And they always publish it at the end of the year, like, "Oh, we got 20,000 new baptized publishers in Ghana," or some shit,
Is that actually true, or they just make that shit up?
No, it's definitely true.
Oh,
It's
they
definitely
do.
true. Yeah. I mean, I think they inflate their numbers a bit, and they don't publish the numbers anymore. At least not publicly on the website like they used to. But yeah, they published it. They were upfront about that. Maybe. I'm not going to say they were telling the truth. I have no way of knowing, but the numbers were published.
So JWs very insular, from what I can tell. They like going out and preaching shit.
Yep.
Apparently, most of their money, other than ripping people off, are these publishing. Do they do the Watchtower shit? Is that them? Or is
That's them. Yep.
Okay.
That's technically the name of their publishing corporation, is the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society.
Yeah, okay, that's what
Like legally, that's their name.
okay. So they got that going. I got to think that's probably a lot of where some of their money comes from is publishing.
Well, they don't sell any of that. It's all free.
Oh, they don't sell. Where the fuck do they? I guess donations would be.
Donations. 100% of their money is donations.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I mean, there have been stories of people who had stocks, and when they
Well,
died, they
yeah.
passed the stocks to the society.
Yeah. Okay.
But
Yeah.
it's mostly donations, and again, it's very compulsory.
Well, no, I'm not. It's just weird to me. I mean, it's just a little strange. I mean,
Oh, it is. Yeah, 100%.
most cults like that get your money in a number of ways or whatever, but it sounds like they just want to rip you off. Okay, they're not necessarily interested in ripping other people off, which is fine.
No, yeah, it's just you.
Keep it in the family. Just rip your own family off.
Keep it respectable. Yeah, it's a holiday, so keep it friendly.
No. You're not allowed to celebrate holidays. Sure, thank you. No
That's a
holidays.
funny thing about being raised a witness is your family would find ways to celebrate holidays without actually celebrating holidays. And so, with a big excuse, especially for Thanksgiving, is, oh, well, it's cheap now, so we'll just have a nice turkey dinner, and it won't be on the day of Thanksgiving; it'll be the day after. But it's a cheap meal. Yeah, exactly.
Stupid.
Or they'll get you birthday presents after your birthday.
Any religion that, what is it? Jews who you can't on the Sabbath. You're not allowed to operate electronic devices or whatever it is. I don't know if you've ever heard of this before. There's
Never heard
certain
of
Orthodox Jews. They can't do things on the Sabbath, which includes very basic shit like operate electronic stuff, right? So what they get people, they hire non-Jews to do the stuff for them, so they don't have to do it. This is the truth, and I'm not being anti-Semitic or anything.
What?
This is an actual thing. Go look it up. I can't remember the sect. There's a sect, and it's actually a very delineated area within. I mean, I'm sure there's different places like this, but it's just really strange. The lengths they will go to circumvent religious restrictions instead of just admitting that your shit is stupid and outdated. You will go through these lengths to avoid some shit instead of just saying, this is all such bullshit. What are we doing?
I believe it.
Okay. My point is, it's just people, regardless of religion or whatever, just do the stupid shit. I don't know. Humans are awesome. Do you have, so let's just kind of just put a bow on this.
Sure.
What would you tell people who are looking at J-dubs, right? And I don't necessarily mean as a serious matter per se, but like, hey, look, they don't look too bad, right? And you're like, you know what, they are kind of bad. So what would be your kind of elevator pitch, to why they suck?
I honestly would just tell them, do what you would do with anything that you're interested in. Look at both sides, make an opinion. Obviously, the witnesses are only going to tell you the good shit. They're going to tell you about how much they love each other, how welcoming the congregation is, all the good things they've done for the planet, and not from an environmental standpoint, just from the we're going to teach you about Jehovah standpoint. But then also look at people who've left and look at the reasons why they left and see if those reasons are compelling. And if they're not, you're probably a sociopath. But, to each his own.
I mean, some people are just more inclined towards that kind of thinking, which is we're seeing a lot more now because of the Trump cult, and I already talked about that. But I think you need to go on the speaking tour in Hawaii, man. Hawaii is a small place. Well, hear me out. Hawaii is a small place, right? So you could just be you, right? And you just go around saying, but you gotta be very erudite about it, Of course, they're going to denounce you as being a disfellowshipped person. Or whatever.
Fine. I wear it on my sleeve anyway.
So, I mean,
but I think the biggest things for me, if anyone that's going to watch this or listen is curious, is, I mentioned it already, the stuff about the Bible that's just not true. And then my bigger issue was growing up on every Sunday talk, not every Sunday talk, but very, very often. They would love to bash other religions and be like, oh, we're not like the Catholics who do X of a thing, or they sin this way, or we're not like Protestants who sin this way. It's always about putting them down to make themselves look better. But they do the same shit. The same exact scandal that the Catholic Church went through about moving pedophiles from one place to another to avoid being ousted, Jehovah's Witnesses do the exact same shit. A huge case you can go and research yourself if you're interested is the Candace Conti story. But unfortunately, her case isn't even unique. There's tons of ways that the rules that they currently have in place protect pedophiles from being reported to police and keep them pedophiles. Basically, they're allowed to just tree roam and do horrible things to children and people who are otherwise incapable of defending themselves. So that's what I'd look into if that's something you're considering.
Of course, like you said, you'd say that about just about anything that seems a bit dicey.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, anything. Yeah.
Anything,
look at both
actually.
sides. Make an informed decision.
Yeah. And both sides doesn't mean Fox News and fucking Newsmax. Those aren't two sides.
No.
Yeah. The worst, bad and the worst. No, yeah, I'm gonna need you to find some other sides besides that. All right. Well, first of all, thanks for contacting me. Obviously, you have nothing else to do, so that's great. Secondly, thanks for coming on and talking about this. This isn't always, for some people, it's not always easy to talk about this kind of thing, depending upon how deeply you're embroiled in it. It can hurt. I mean, if you lose family members or whatever, it can be painful. But,
I mean, I'm in a healthy spot now, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah, you seem to be in a good spot. So, I would tell anybody who, if just pass the love, man. If you see somebody else struggling with some of the same kind of shit, man, just, be there for them, That in and of itself is some kind of fellowship, a healthy fellowship, not the kind that you get disfellowship for
get kicked out
next week or something. I don't know. All right, dude. Well, again, thanks for coming on. Anytime you want to come back on, let me know. Fuck Tony.
Sure.
He's always trying to rip my shit. And I got some shit for him. He don't know about it. I got some shit for his ass. He gonna find out. I'm not gonna tell you. I got some.
I can't wait to see it / hear it.
Are you doing a thing on are you ever going to be on there? Are you going to do your own show, or is there going to be any capacity where you're going?
Yeah, I was on there. I was on there 2 episodes ago. I want to say episode 9. I think it was.
I've fallen behind.
Basically, I went on there and I tried to convince God to become a Mormon because he renounced the Catholic Church to Mel Gibson. So I was like, well, you need a new church.
Okay. Then
how's Mormonism?
And I'm going to go ahead and plug Tony's show like I had a whole episode about his ass already. But go watch God Chat with God and Tony, and especially whatever episode he just said. Just listen to all of them and fucking figure it out. I don't fucking know.
There's only 11. How much? It won't take that long. Just listen to all 11.
They're like half an hour episodes, so just go listen to it. You can come bitch at me later when I told you to do it. Or bitch at him. Tell him. He's the one complaining all the time that he doesn't get any people telling him anything. So I had to go leave a review just so he would quit fucking complaining. Jesus fucking... Go review this man's show. Jesus God. Motherfucker complaining all the time. Go to iTunes. Go to Podbean. Go to your local retailer and put it on the bulletin board. Just go review the man's show. I don't even think he cares if he just wants to know y'all hear it. Go review his show before he cries anymore. It's pathetic. It's really pathetic.
Yeah, God doesn't like hearing him cry either, so that would help him out.
Yep. See, I'm here for y'all. I'm here for the good word. The good word. Oh, one more thing. seriously, I did start. This is for my own thing. I did start a charity drive or whatever you want to call it, a fundraising drive on Facebook for Native American partnership with Native Americans, which I do. I'm not acting like it's a big thing, but after every Thanksgiving, because you know the part where we slaughter Native Americans and all that kind of good stuff. After Thanksgiving, I like do this thing for that charity. So, if you want to go check out my charity, it's under my name on public. I'm gonna have to share it. You're friends with me, so if you don't mind sharing my part for my fundraiser,
Sure.
which I whatever. But
Do you mind if I plug my charity too when you're done?
no, of course, go ahead.
Oh, so basically, it's just a fund to get Chris's beard back. It's Movember. Send in your trimmings. We can do it. We only have like a week and a half left. Not even. What do we have, like 6 days?
I forgot all about that. Yeah.
We got like 5 days left. Send in all your donated trimmings to whatever Chris's PO box is, and we will get his beard.
The hell I am. That's growing
and
back
make
anyway.
make it great again.
Actually, I think I still have them in the trash can. Actually,
Just super glue it back on. Get it all good to go.
Trust me,
A little trim.
It'll come back pretty quick. That's why I wasn't too worried about it. All right, man. Well, go surf. Whatever the fuck y'all Hawaiians do. Dance around lays. I don't fucking know. Whatever. That's super racist, I'm sure.
A little bit.
All right. Until next time, y'all take it easy now, okay?